দর্শক আমন্ত্রণ জানাচ্ছি চ্যানেল 24 এর নিয়মিত আয়োজন মুখোমুখিতে আজকে আমাদের সাথে আছেন একজন বিশেষ অতিথি। আজকে আমাদের সাথে আছেন ইরানের সহকারী পররাষ্ট্রমন্ত্রী জনাব আলী বাকেরি কানি। আসসালামু আলাইকুম and welcome to the show.
Assalamu alaikum.
First, I'd like to know what is the purpose of this visit to Bangladesh.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Iran wa Bangladesh.
In the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful, Iran and Bangladesh have always had and maintained a very long-standing and, should I say, ancient relationship, and they have always been with each other in various fields of economy, culture, and politics.
دو کشور دوست و هم در این سفر ما
The purpose of this visit is actually the new round of FOC or Foreign Office consultations between the Foreign Ministry of the Islamic Republic of Iran and that of People's Republic of Bangladesh. Today I held very good meetings, very fruitful ones, especially the one with His Excellency the Foreign Minister of Bangladesh, which was very constructive and very useful.
موضوعات مختلف در روابط میان تهران و داکار.
In today's meetings we had a lengthy and comprehensive review of bilateral ties between Iran and Bangladesh, and at the same time we try to explore the new openings that we can have in our bilateral relations. We try to identify the obstacles and the barriers that might have been erected against our relationship and to find ways to remove those obstacles. And at the same time, we reached good understanding for the future of our relations, and we had a kind of preliminary agreement for Her Excellency's, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina's visit to be paid officially to Iran in the early month of the year 2023.
برای اینکه این سفر در اوایل سال آینده میلادی انجام بگیره.
You are saying that there is a promises of the growing relationship, but what really kept the relationship growing further?
ما در مورد موانع مختلفی که
As I said in today's meeting, we talked about various barriers, and by them I mean there might be some obstacles, bureaucratic obstacles in both of our systems, in both countries, that have slowed down the progress of our relations. We try to identify them, we try to find ways on how to remove them. We have had some understandings and agreements on this matter, and at the same time, as I said before, we tried to identify and find new ways and new openings.
روابط با هم رایزنی کنند و به توافق برسند. همونطور که میدونید از نظر منابع انرژی
The Islamic Republic of Iran at the same time stands ready and is fully prepared to meet the new energy needs of the countries, and in this regard, in this relation, the needs of the friendly and the Muslim countries are of the first priority to us, and we will try to meet the needs of those countries first and foremost.
کشورهای مسلمان و کشورهای دوست قطعاً در اولویت قرار دارند و در این زمینه
And in this relationship, Bangladesh occupies a special position in the way we look at the energy needs.
نگاه جمهوری اسلامی ایران داره.
There is sanction on you and there is sanction on Russia as well. So if there is a dollar crisis, so how Bangladesh will buy fuels or gas or oil from Iran? Is it going to be in a local currency like in Iran and India is doing, and Iran is doing it other countries?
خب طبیعیه ما در واقع بازار
Naturally, our energy markets and the things related to our energy The affairs actually are conducted and carried out by the respective authorities and the relevant organizations and bodies. And they do it with their counterparts in other countries, and this is something that is done between them, and this is not something that is negotiated in the media. And definitely, with any other country, the same thing will apply.
با هم به توافق خواهند رسید. اما این نکته در که شما اشاره کردید نکته مهمی
I
است.
would like to tell you that in the past years, we have been selling our oil. We have been exporting our oil and gas, not in dollars, but in the national currencies of other countries. And this is something that we have reached an agreement with the other parties, and this is something that has been beneficial to both of us.
کشورهای مقابل ما هست و هر دو طرف هم دارن سود میبرن. حتی کشورهای بزرگ
Even in big organizations like in BRICS, you know that it is a major economic coalition, and two superpowers, economic superpowers, China and India, are members of it, and they are thinking of doing business, and they have been moving towards this goal of doing business in their own national currencies.
هند از جمله کشورهای عضو بریکس هستند.
আমাদের সাথে আছেন ইরানের সহকারী পররাষ্ট্রমন্ত্রী. Welcome to the show once again. So, how do you see the recent situation of Afghanistan? That's my first question. And the second question is, what are the difficulties Iran is facing because of the Ukraine-Russian war?
نگاه کنید در مورد افغانستان ما یک نگاه
You know, on Afghanistan, we have had a strategic approach, and it is that the people of Afghanistan themselves should participate, should play a role in the government and of choosing their own destiny.
در موضوع افغانستان ایفا بکنن. نکته‌ای که وجود داره این است که
And the reality is that some certain powers, including the United States and its allies in NATO, have always preferred their own interests to those of the people of Afghanistan, and they have tried to make an instrumental use of Afghanistan in order to advance their own agenda in the region.
استفاده کردن. اما بعد از 20 سال
But after 20 years, it was revealed to them, they themselves realized, and the whole world realized, that this policy of them was 100% wrong, because not only it did not bring about democracy and development for Afghanistan.
در افغانستان برقرار بکنن. من یادم چند سال قبل به یکی از مقام‌های
I remember that some years back I said this to one of the Western officials, that if instead of bringing all these tanks into Afghanistan you would have brought tractors, then you would have both the development and the security there.
افغانستان شاهد بودید و هم امنیت رو. نکنید همونطور که آمریکایی‌ها در دوره بایدن
The Biden administration has always been saying that it does not want to follow in the footsteps of Donald Trump administration, but the reality is that in practice they have been following the same policy, and they are doing it through this war, the Ukrainian war, and ultimately they want to weaken both the Russia and the Europeans, so that the Europeans will not gain power internationally.
تضعیف بکنند و هم اروپا رو.
The Americans are trying to create a new Afghanistan in Europe, but I think the Europeans should be more careful.
یا باید هوشمند باشند که از این تله خودشون رو خارج بکنن.
It looks like you're quite fan of European Union. That's fine. That's okay with me. But my question is, you were leading the discussion with EU on the nuclear issue. How far you have gone?
یا کنید ما در
In nuclear talks right now, I can tell you that we cannot see a major point of disagreement between the parties.
بین دو طرف رو شاهد نیستیم.
We have before us a draft of the text of agreement that we have agreed upon, they have reached an agreement on, and you don't really see a major unresolved issue in that text.
البته ما ماهاست این
And of course, this text has been before us for months now, but Americans came up with different excuses and they refrained from finalizing it. One of the excuses was the upcoming Congress election.
جلوی نهایی سازی توافق رو می‌گرفتن.
Last couple of days, when I was in Jordan, I had a meeting with the EU's coordinator for the nuclear talks, and it was a very lengthy discussion that I had with him, and we agreed to continue our interactions until we reach a framework within which we can finalize everything.
به یک چارچوب مورد توافق برسیم.
Even Human Rights Council also appointed a fact-finding mission they're sending there, and the lady is luckily is from Bangladesh, who is leading that human rights that fact-finding mission. How do you see that? And from far we watch it on television, but we don't know the real story.
یا کنید
You see, one of the tools that the United States employs in order to have its hegemony over or domination over other countries is the tool of the media. I think if somebody takes away this tool, the media, then this empire of hegemony of the United States will collapse. The best example is the question that you asked me.
بهترین مصداقش همین سوالی است که شما از من کردید.
I would like to ask you a question. The news that you have been telling me about, that you have received, from what source you have received them?
یا کنید خبرهایی که شما از ایران دارید.
You know, the news that you receive from Iran are coming either from Reuters and AP or Associated Press or the France Press.
یا از Associated Press یا از فرانس پرس. ما دو کشور منطقه هستیم. دو کشور
We are two brotherly countries, friendly countries, Muslim countries. Why shouldn't we get the news about each other directly from each other? Why should we go to the enemies to receive that information?
اخبار رو بگیریم. ولی ما در واقع
But we haven't received or heard similar fabricated and false information about Bangladesh in Iran.
غیر واقعی رو از بنگلادش در داخل ایران نشر نمیدیم. شما اشاره کردید مثلا اعتراضاتی که الان
You said that the protests are ongoing in Iran, but if people inside Iran hear this from you, it will make them laugh. Because this is not compatible with the realities on the ground in Iran. And who are the people that are trying to portray Iran in this light?
از ایران دارن به بیرون منتقل میکنن. کشورهای اروپایی مثل آلمان، مثل فرانسه.
These were the very same countries that were backing and supporting Saddam Hussein when he invaded Iran, and they were supplying him with everything they could. The Germans, not even 48 hours had passed since the passing of Ms. Mahsa Amini, that they adopted a harsh stance and position against Iran.
موضع گرفتند و در واقع جمهوری اسلامی ایران رو متهم کردند.
In every country, the forensics report, it takes weeks to come up with an accurate medical report on how a person has died. So how could they come to the conclusion in less than 48 hours? Under this pretext and excuse, the Germans started a huge attack, an onslaught, media attack against Iran, and a legal one.
حقوقی علیه جمهوری اسلامی ایران شکل دادن.
But did you also know that the very same Germans were responsible for the death of hundreds of Kurdish Sunni Iranian girls during the war between Iran and Iraq by supplying chemical weapons to Saddam Hussein? Please note, the Germans supplied Saddam Hussein with chemical equipment that is needed for producing nuclear weapons.
تجهیزات ساخت سلاح شیمیایی.
That is why I'm telling you that the European countries are responsible for the murder of Iranian children suffering from that disease. And these children have not been tried in any kind of court. No judge sentenced them to death. But the the Europeans killed them. Such murderers are not eligible enough, are not competent enough to talk about, to preach about human rights.
یه همچنین قاتلانی صلاحیت صحبت درباره حقوق بشر رو ندارن.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope you answered all my questions. Though I was quite not satisfied with the last one, but anyways, there were always a debate. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. দর্শক, আমরা কথা বলছিলাম যে ইরানের সবশেষ যে প্রোটেস্টটা চলছে সেটা নিয়ে উনি উনার মতো করে ব্যাখ্যা দেওয়ার চেষ্টা করেছেন। সেটার সাথে হয়তো বা নানান ধরনের আলোচনা সমালোচনা থাকতে পারে, তবে দেখা হবে মুখোমুখির অন্য কোনো পর্বে অন্য কোনো অতিথির সাথে। তার আগ পর্যন্ত সুস্থ থাকুন, ভালো থাকুন।